Now, these are some of my favorite business bank accounts for this year. Today, I'll be breaking down why I always try to use and recommend these specific bank accounts, as well as my method of being sure to have 2 or more bank accounts and why you'll want to do that too. So stay tuned. Now, first off, the reason why I like to recommend more than one bank account is because you kind of want to have a buffer bank account of sorts. I look at it as risk mitigation. The thing is, you never want to be in a situation where somebody overcharges your bank account or somebody pulls more money out of your bank account, or if you even have any type of identity theft or fraud or whatever the case may be, and it ends up completely shutting your business down. And that's what can happen when you're running everything through one account. It might be a situation where maybe you have just enough to pay your supplier to be able to get your product manufactured, and something happens where all that money's taken out of your account. Now what are you going to do? Now you can no longer pay your supplier, which means you can no longer be able to make more products to be able to make more money, and your business has literally come to a halt. So what I typically do is I typically like to have a sort of buffer bank account. Now this is basically where I allow any types of ACHs or any types of transfers, basically where I allow companies to be able to push money into. Okay, sort of this is the account where, larger companies will call it a operating account, okay, or operations account. Basically what it is I'm allowing any companies that need to connect to my bank account or need access to my bank account to send me money. They're going to be able to send it from this one bank account, and all my actual reserves or all my cash that I have for my business is in a whole separate bank account. And so what I'll do is I'll push money into this bank account if I need more money to be in there to pay expenses, or I'll pull money out back into my reserve bank account if I have excess cash in this specific account. That's pretty much my system in a nutshell, at least the basic version of it, right? And I think that's a version that everybody should start with. You should not be running your business out of one bank account. To me, that's just extremely dangerous. And with so many free bank accounts out there nowadays, it makes sense for you to have separate accounts, okay? Now, me personally, I prefer to have separate accounts at separate banks. So I wouldn't open 2 bank accounts at the same bank, right? And that can be for, obviously, especially in the US, you're pretty much covered when it comes to if a bank went under or anything like that. And a lot of these banks they get stress tested and everything like that, so it's highly unlikely. But I'm more of a risk averse when it comes to that kind of thing, so I'm typically gonna keep it in separate banks just in case anything were to go down. Now, so again, I'm gonna let my main bank account or my reserve bank account be able to push money into the other bank account, but not the other way around. So my operations account, the one that I'm using to do any expenses, any transactions that are mostly gonna be handled, this main account, I'm not allowing them to be able to access this other account in terms of I can't, from this account, put in a request to pull money out from my savings or my reserve account. Everything has to be done for that reserve account. So basically, this reserve account has all the control. So that's essentially the first layer. I like to lay it on top of that with credit cards as well. That way, I'm not even really running too many expenses straight to a bank account. I'm usually running it through credit cards, and then I'm paying off those credit cards, things like that. But it's up to you how many layers you want to add, depending on how much protection you want to have. But again, I'm going to be touching on these bank accounts here, and that's kind of how you want to think of it. You don't have to sign up for all of these bank accounts, but I typically am signing up, me specifically, for more than one bank account. I mean, I have quite a few, but that's kind of my thought process and the idea behind it. Okay, now let's jump into option 1. Option 1 is going to be Novo Bank. Now, Novo Bank is best for, online businesses, freelancers, contractors, or businesses that don't really need to rely on receiving any type of cash from their clients or the customers. And majority of these bank accounts that I'm going to touch on today are going to be really focused more on people who are running more of an online business. Okay, you can always use one of these bank accounts and have a brick and mortar if you do need to drop off cash every once in a while. That works as well, but it's up to you how you actually set that up. Now, some of the pros are that this is a fee-free checking account. You're not going to see any type of fees except if you have insufficient funds or uncollected funds, where you can end up getting charged $27. You're going to get free ATM access. The great thing is they actually allow you to use any ATM in the US or abroad without charging you any fees. On top of that, they'll reimburse any fees that you face from those banks for using their actual ATM. So you can expect them to deposit those refunds directly into your account at the end of each month. The other thing is they have a great online and mobile banking platform, which I use pretty regularly. They also do some pretty decent invoicing, right? This is especially useful tool for any freelancers out there, any contractors. If you're looking to send out invoices, they actually let you send out an unlimited amount of invoices. So you can actually send out those invoices directly from your checking account. You can also accept any payments through ACH transfer or Stripe as well. So you have those options for you there. Now, another thing I really like is the fact that they're able to integrate with so many business tools. So I've got these guys pretty much linked them to, for me, just my QuickBooks account. But if you're someone who you are using Stripe or or you're using Shopify, things like that, they make it to where you can link that stuff to be able to see all that information on one screen. So you can see how much you have in your bank account, how much you have running through all these different business tools that you're using, and be able to get a more holistic picture of what's going on with your whole business as a whole, right? Now, some of the cons, guys, again, you're not able to deposit any cash. I would pretty much need to get a money order, and then I could deposit that money order through the mobile app. Basically it's like a check deposit. But because I'm never depositing any cash, I'm pretty much only depositing checks, right? Any type of checks I might get for companies that are trying to pay me, then I can simply just do it through their app, which is a super easy process. Now, aside from that, they also don't have any type of interest earnings. So don't expect to be earning, 1% or whatever just by leaving money in your account, which for me is not that big of a deal, especially because I'm trying to quickly churn the money that I have. And I'm more focused on running my business than I am specifically how much I'm getting in terms of interest month to month. But if you're someone who wants, if you're really focused on the interest, then it might be that you use this account more as an operating account, and then you have another account that you're actually able to earn interest at, where you actually keep your reserve funds, right? That might be a move that you want to do that makes a little more sense for you. Now, the next option is going to be Live Oak Bank. Now, these actually are new guys. I haven't talked to you guys much about these guys before, but these guys are going to be tailored more towards newly formed businesses and freelancers. Now, the dope thing about these guys is they have no monthly fees. They don't charge any transaction fees. It's 0%. They only charge a 3% foreign transaction fee. So basically, if you're using your card overseas somewhere. On top of it, they have a 55,000 plus in-network ATMs that you can use, which you'll have zero fees on as well. But the big thing, this is the huge one, guys. They were the #1 SBA 7A lender by dollar amount for the fiscal year of 2022. So basically what that means is these guys are experts when it comes to helping you get SBA funding. So if you're looking to get SBA backed funding, these guys are going to be the ones that you're going to want to stick with. They also offer more revenue-based loans. That's becoming a bigger trend I've noticed with fintech companies. They want to base their lending off of your revenue as opposed to necessarily just your credit, okay? They're willing to even overlook your credit in some instances. Now, these guys, they have those revenue-based loans, though depending on what type of loan you're getting, they're obviously going to need access to your credit. But again, guys, if you're looking to get funding, these are a company that you're going to want to make sure that you take a look at. So on top of that, they also have a streamlined loan application process, which is really good, right? They're really trying to stay in tune with the digital age by having a mostly online process. I think that's super dope, especially when there's still a lot of the more brick and mortar banks that they don't do everything online. They might either need you to come in or they might need to talk to you over the phone, whatever the case may be. So Live Oak is really trying to make it as easy as possible for businesses to be able to just get that funding that they're trying to get to grow their actual businesses. Now, some of the cons, the first one is there is a minimum deposit to open the account, but it's $100. So to me, that's not so much. I think it's just a small barrier to entry. And I think most people are investing more than $100 in their business, and it should be pretty easy for you to come up with that money to be able to open the account. Now, you're not going to be able to do any cash deposits. Again, this is a neobank. Like I told you, most of these banks are, and they're not going to be a full service bank. Okay, so there's no physical locations. You're not able to just go in and talk to a banker, whatever the case may be. Everything's pretty much handled online or over the phone in most cases. Now, option number 3 is going to be Axios Bank. Okay, I've touched on these guys previously in the past. Now, they're going after new and recently opened business as well. And their pros are they have no monthly service charges, unlimited ATM fee reimbursement or domestic ATM fee reimbursement. They give you 50 checks for free if you're still into writing checks, and you have that option for you as well. And the cons are going to be they have no physical locations, right? So you can't drop off cash at branches, nothing like that. And they're also going to have another $100 minimum deposit requirement to actually open the business interest checking account. So Axios is another good option, guys. You're going to see all of these banks that I mentioned, they're kind of offering similar. You're going to notice that the features are pretty similar amongst them. But for me, I think what's big is leveraging one or more of these banks to be able to use the method that I mentioned in the very beginning, right? So for me, if I'm looking at what are my overall view on, banks in general, most of them, again, are going to have the same features, right? You want to look for the banks really that are going to have the best customer service or the best user interface. For me, that's huge, right? I'm usually looking at user interface for the banks that I'm using because especially when I'm traveling, I need to be able to access it either from my app or from my computer, whatever the case may be. And I don't want it a situation where I'm having trouble accessing it or it's just kind of clunky and hard to move around, right? So that's one thing that I really look at. And on top of that, you want want to make sure that they specialize in a product or a feature that maybe you might need for your business or you might need in the future, right? Like I mentioned with the Axos and the checks. It's kind of like that. If you know you need to write a lot of checks, then Axos might be the bank for you. But maybe that's not the situation. Maybe you're looking to get funding in the future. And so you want to work with Live Oak because you want to make sure that you have the funding that you need to be able to move forward with those guys, right? Now, I'm going to link to all these guys down below. Be sure to check out those links. I am partnered with at least 2 of these banks. I want to say Live Oak and Novo. I think I might be partnering with Axos pretty soon here. But guys, again, I use these banks myself. I haven't opened an account with Live Oak yet. I will be opening soon. I just found them, and that's why I decided to partner with them, because I see the potential that they can offer, especially if you're looking to get that funding, okay? That's what I used to talk a lot about on the channel here. I still mentioned, accessing funding to grow your business, so it just makes more sense for me to stick along with them as well. Anyways, guys, that's gonna be the gist of it. Be sure that you hit that subscribe button down below and check out my other videos on setting up key parts of your business, right? I've shot it on your phone, your address for privacy, so on and so forth, even on how to actually go about setting up your email to be able to make sure you have a professional email. So go check out those videos, and I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you at the next one. Peace.